Okay, I see you. All right, you're good, buddy.
Cool, cool.
All right,
Yo,
so-
Andrew, I heard you're talking shit. What's up, my man?
Well, I said you're a bitch, and you're always talking
Why?
shit in your chat. I want to know what your
Yeah.
fucking problem
Can we
is.
see those receipts that you promised us? Not
For
the
what?
Pence principle. The girls trying to slide in your DMs. We still haven't seen any receipts from you, Andrew.
So why do I need to
Well,
provide?
okay, but you said you had receipts.
Yeah, that doesn't mean I'm going to
You
provide.
don't have receipts.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to
You
provide
can't show any
anything.
receipts of girls trying to get.
I'm
with you,
I'm
right?
not going to. No, that would require docs.
But you critique our receipts, and then you can't even show receipts for yourself
Why do I need to show anything?
because you said you had receipts.
So you don't think that an online personality like me has women who proposition them? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely not. No, I don't.
Okay. And the only way that you'll believe that is if I show you receipts that that's true.
Yes, receipts that don't involve you explaining the Pence principle to women. I want to see women specifically.
Yeah, but I explained the Pence principle to all of these women who contact me.
Yeah, but does that mean
Which
that
is
they're
not like an innumerable amount, but there's been a few, yeah.
Does that mean that they're sexually interested in you?
If I'm explaining to them the Pence rule, yeah.
I guess their panties wet, right? That you're just the Pence principle up and down.
No, that's me rebuffing them
So, but how does that show that they're trying to get with you?
because they will say things before I tell them that I follow the Pence principle.
What kind of things will they send to you or say to you? I guess.
Well, sometimes they're overtly sexual, sometimes not, just flirtatious.
Can you show us any proof of the overly sexual things that they send to you?
I could, but that would literally require me doxing these people.
Why can't you just blur out their face and name?
Well, I could blur out their face and name, but
So why don't you just do that?
Shut up and let me finish.
I was not.
Shut up. Shut up.
No,
I was not prepared to walk on the stream though and have that ready for you.
Well, that's another thing. I didn't know that you had my name in your mouth. I was summoned.
Well, all you do is talk shit.
Yeah, and I can back my shit up. I've showed many.
So let's say for a second, let's just hand it to you and say, there's not a single woman who's ever contacted me to proposition me, not even one time. What are your other criticisms?
That you talk massive shit. You say that I talk massive shit. I think you talk massive shit too.
Okay, what's the criticism?
The criticism is anyone that doesn't believe in Jesus Christ, you think is a degenerate.
There we go. So now we're getting to what your actual problem is. So I do think that definitionally they're degenerates. Why wouldn't they be?
So you think everyone that watches Playing with Fire is a degenerate?
No, and everybody that watches with Playing with Fire is not an atheist.
Okay, but what's your criticism with like some of the Playing with Fire fans? Because I hear you call a lot of guys degenerates.
They're definitionally degenerates. I don't have any problem with them personally.
No, I mean, why do you think they're degenerates?
Because they don't follow the teachings of Jesus Christ, so they're engaged in sexual sin, which would be degeneracy. Degeneracy just means without morals or no moral justification.
So men that like to engage in casual sex, you consider them degenerates, right?
Yeah, they would definitionally be degenerates. It means without morals. You understand that? That's what degeneracy
I understand
means.
that. It's just that it's funny.
So repeat it back to me. Repeat it back to me what degeneracy means.
Repeat it back to you.
So you don't know what it means, or you can repeat it back.
Take orders from someone that
just
hasn't
repeat
had a
it back. Repeat it back
to me.
You
could showcase to me right now that you're sponsored by. What do you smoke? Marlboros, Newports. What kind of cigarettes do you smoke?
What does that have to do with anything?
Well, because I'm trying to see if you're actually sponsored by that company. Because you smoke a lot of cigarettes, Andrew.
Yes, I like to smoke cigarettes. Why would that be problematic?
How many visits do you take to the doctor per year?
None.
None.
I haven't been to the doctor in years.
About your health at all? You wait. Whoa. Okay. We got to rewind. You haven't been to the doctor in years. Why do you not go to the doctor?
What the hell would I need to go?
Protecting him.
Yeah, what would I need to go to the doctor for?
You don't get your test levels checked? I'm not even trolling.
My what levels?
Testosterone levels? Test is a slang term. So you don't know your own testosterone levels.
Why would I give a shit?
You should give a shit because that has to do with how you feel. Like
I feel fine. I feel fine. What are you talking about?
If you haven't gotten tests, you could have heart disease right now. Not even.
I feel fine.
Because Jesus Christ has a room for you, right?
No. Let me ask you this again. You just asked me, how do I know if I feel fine?
Yes. Okay, but I'm
saying. Who else
like,
would know how I feel except me, stupid?
The docters that check you.
The doctors are going to know how I feel better than I know how I feel, stupid.
Okay, so you don't. Yeah, it's stupid.
How fucking dumb are you, bro?
Right?
How dumb are you?
Apparently, I'm pretty dumb since I.
Yeah, apparently you are pretty dumb.
Yeah, and I don't smoke cancer sticks for a living, right?
This is getting heated fast.
What does that have to do with anything?
It sounds like Andrew's a little triggered. I mean, I don't know. I'm chilling.
What does me smoking have to do with anything?
When was the last time you actually went to the doctor? Like, do you even remember that?
I don't know. Maybe a couple of years ago, maybe.
And what made you not want to come back? Did he like do something that you didn't like? He just,
Yeah, he charged me too much money.
Okay, so you don't have insurance.
You
So you might need better
you
health
might not
insurance.
you might not know this, but in the adult world, for people who have jobs, they still have things called copays.
Whoa, really? Wow.
Yeah,
They must
really.
be insane.
Isn't that
copays.
crazy? Isn't that
That's
crazy?
insane. I didn't know
So,
that there were.
so wait,
copays.
so no doctor anywhere charges people with insurance money? You're a fucking genius, bro.
You said that, not me. Those are words from your mouth, not
Then
mine.
why would you? Your exact words were, so you have no insurance.
Okay, so you can't afford.
Your
copays.
exact
That's why you
words
go to-
were, so you have no insurance. Yes or
Andrew's
no?
Logic is I can't afford.
Yes or
$5
no?
for a copay.
Your exact words were, so
No,
you
those
have
were
no
not my
insurance.
words. Those were not my
Those
words.
were-
They said-
Okay,
I
so
asked
let's
you,
stop.
can
Let's
you
stop.
afford
Hang on,
insurance?
Alex.
Hold up. You
let's-
like to cut people off. You're like
Alex,
Donald
let's
Trump.
rewind the video. I'm going to take
Shit.
my time and let's see if he
We don't
said
need
the
to
exact
rewind.
words.
I
So
asked
you
if you
don't
had insurance. I asked you if you had insurance.
No, you made a
You
statement that I
kinda
didn't.
You kind of just went over. I'm going to assume you don't have insurance. So it seems like you have a high-paying job.
Why would I not have insurance? What are you
Andrew,
talking
Andrew.
about?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. So
What the fuck
it
is this
seems-
idiot talking about?
apparently I'm an idiot because I go to
You
the
are an
doctor
idiot,
and have
yes.
myself- Yeah. Oh, I'm so stupid. Okay, let's go back. So you have a good paying job.
When you
yes?
so when you feel
How much
fine,
money
do you go to
make per
the
year?
when
How
you
much
feel
money do you make
fine,
per
do you
year?
go to the doctor?
So you're going to ignore my question. How much?
Yeah, I'm
money
not
do you
going to
make
answer
per
how
year?
much money I make per
Okay,
year.
so you don't make enough money. Got you. He is dodging Dennis. Press him on it. Because he doesn't listen when the stupid mod presses him. So maybe if Dennis,
You know what's funny, Greg? Like you get bitches. He's an incel. Like Andrew hasn't been with a new girl in years.
yo,
That's inseldom?
apparently, because you're blue pilled.
You're a
You're
simp.
only
You simp.
you're only
You
cut
got
to your wife, right?
a house. Why would you buy a
He
woman
doesn't
a
care
house?
about his health.
Come
His
on.
test levels could be really low right now, and he wouldn't know it. Andrew, how
Well,
old
to
are
be,
you?
to be fair, he's technically not an incel. An incel is someone who doesn't have sex. I'm sure he has
By
sex.
definition. Okay, Andrew. So
Yeah.
you're what, like 38,
He's
39?
not
How old are
pimping
you?
it though. He's not pimping
Well, I'm trying
it
to
though.
figure out. Okay, so what was he in his 40s?
I'm trying to
30s?
figure out what the
Does
fuck
your
you're
wife
even
call the
talking about.
shots?
We're
Does your
telling you
wife
that you
call
need a
the
wake up
shots?
call.
I mean, it seems like he just chose a different life path. Like he just wants to have like a family and shit. I don't
Okay,
know.
let's just step away from his family life. Let's not bring Christianity into it. Let's just talk about modern medicine. Okay.
No, you can
So,
talk about my family
Andrew,
life. That's fine. Let's
we'll
talk about
get
your
to-
family life
we'll
too.
get to- Okay, let's talk about it. What do you want?
Yeah.
To know?
Did you have a mommy and a daddy?
Yeah, I did actually.
Were you
believe it or
happy
not.
that they stayed together for you?
Yeah, I was happy.
Then what's your fucking problem with the relationship of me staying together with my wife or my children?
I have a
retard?
problem because I don't believe in the Bible. I think the Bible is a
You
lie.
just well,
You believe in a man in the
here's
sky.
here's your exact words, stupid. You said, I'm happy my mommy and daddy stayed together for me.
Did I say that or did you?
Yes,
say
your exact words were, yes, I'm
that? So
happy they
my
stayed together
name just
for me.
magically changed to Andrew from the Crucible. I'm not Greg Lurick. Now I'm Andrew from the Crucible.
I don't even know what you're
definition, by
talking
your
about.
definition. Of course you don't. Your brain magically shuts off when people present logic and facts. But when they talk about the
You haven't
Bible,
presented anything.
your
What are you
eyes
talking
light
about?
up. Like if I said, "Yo, John 3:16 said this," your eyes would light up. Okay,
You just said it. Are my eyes
okay,
lit up?
so, Andrew, okay, you're like I'm just gonna assume you're 40 years old. So
Okay.
after 35, testosterone levels start dropping typically for men.
Yeah,
So
but there's
you haven't
symptoms
been
for
to a
that.
doctor in years.
Yeah,
You
there's
could have a
symptoms.
tumor right now and you wouldn't
Do
even
you
know.
know
it.
what symptoms of things are, though? There's symptoms.
Yes, there are symptoms. So just
Yeah.
because you feel fine doesn't mean you're fine.
Yeah, but I
it's
mean, that could be the case. That could be the case for anybody at any time. Do you go to the doctor every single day?
No, but I get annual
No.
checkups. You don't have
But
to go every
don't you
day.
think? Don't you think you generally would go to the doctor when you're not feeling well? Isn't that usually when people go to the doctor,
yeah, but
bro?
you have annual checkups like every few months, generally speaking.
Not really. You have them
If
every
Alex,
few years.
If Alex were to poll the audience right now and say, how many of you guys actually go to the doctor for general checkup?
Well, yeah, they have STDs because they're
No,
DJs.
no, not STDs. Why are you talking about STDs? I'm talking about just like regular stuff.
Do you
Well,
go, how many
well,
times have you gone to
I'm
the?
curious-
Hang on, I'm just curious. How many times have
Okay.
you gone to the doctor for STDs?
Plenty of times. I get tested.
I'm
every
sure you
few
have
weeks.
plenty of
I have.
times.
Yeah, do you want to see my test results? I'll send them, I'll send them to you privately after your stream, Andrew.
You go to the doctor so much. You're concerned that you're going to get STDs, bro.
I'm not going to get
I've-
off too much in your guys' debate, but on this one, Greg does have a point. Annual checkups are a good idea for men to do because you can catch things and prevent them before they even happen. So I think that's the
Yeah.
I have
No,
a
hang
question
on. You
for
know who
Andrew.
never has to go to the doctor to get checked up on it for
Incels.
STDs?
Incels.
People who are happily married.
Or incels, because technically they're not.
No, Andrew, not for STDs, for things more like your heart function. And all that
Okay,
kind
Yeah,
of
but that was my question that I asked him: is how many times have you gone for the STDs? And he
Andrew,
said
let me
plenty of
ask you
times.
this. Do you trust your wife?
Yeah.
So you feel like you don't have to get a STD test because you're with your wife?
Yeah.
What if you one day found out your wife wasn't loyal to you? How would you react? I'm
Not
just saying
well.
if.
Not
Would
good.
would you get mad at her or the guy if you found out who the guy was?
I would be angry with her.
Okay, gotcha. So you're fairly confident that your wife isn't cheating on you.
Was she,
No,
was she
it's
a
not-
virgin when you
not-
married
Well,
her?
he's a
Not-
happy Christian man, right? He's
Not
living the-
it's not fairly confident. I'm 100% confident.
Okay, okay,
Did,
okay.
did you marry a virgin, Andrew?
No.
Oh, that's interesting.
She didn't marry a virgin either.
But it still worked out.
Yeah, it's worked out fine.
What were your guys' body counts?
I'm not getting into all that, dude. They weren't
Why
high.
are you dodging it, huh? Why are you dodging the
He
question?
does dodge a lot of questions.
That's not your concern. Why would that
Okay.
be a concern for you? I'm curious about this.
Let's do some quick maths. Andrew, do you know how many cigarettes you smoke per day? Just give me a rough estimate.
I don't know, pack.
A whole pack. How many do you smoke a week?
Well, let's see. If it's 7 days a week, you're
140
doing
cigarettes a week.
20 at 7.
When you times that by year, you're smoking a lot of cancer sticks. Do you think that has no impact at all on your health?
I think it has a disproportionate effect for different people depending on their physiology, how much they exercise, how sedentary they are.
Okay,
In
gotcha.
my opinion, I think you should
Yeah.
switch over to weed because weed is like all natural, as opposed to cigarettes are man-made with hundreds of sketchy chemicals. So you should just stick to the plant God made, which is marijuana.
Now, Greg, I'm just curious. What's your body count?
145 as of this moment.
And do you have receipts?
I do have receipts actually. I have an
Let's see
OnlyFans as well. Do you want to check out my OnlyFans?
Let's see the receipt.
Crawl Sexy Hung
It
69.
actually does answer, believe it
No,
or
I
not.
do. I have pornos, degenerate pornos of a Jewish
course
man.
you do.
Know, in that, yeah, a true degenerate.
Did you say a Jewish man?
Yeah, I'm a Jewish man.
Why does that? Can you say oy vey for me?
I cannot. I say goyim.
I'm
Let's
sure you
talk
do.
about this
Yes.
big question.
Hey, Andrew. Okay, Andrew. How about this? Can you showcase one receipt before your wife? Just one. We're asking for.
Yeah,
just
I'm not
one
going to
receipt.
do that.
So
No.
you can't showcase one receipt
For what?
of you being with a woman before your wife. Because
Can I showcase a receipt? No, I can't.
Yeah. So you can't. You have no receipts other than your wife.
No, well, I mean, no, I don't keep correspondence between women that I was with 18 years ago.
Okay, so that's the last time you were with another woman. It was 18 years ago.
Yeah, I've been married for a long time, bro.
Okay, well, I don't know. I just see you occasionally come into Alex's streams. I don't know your like whole biography.
Well, I
and
just
shit.
told you. Do you have receipts from 18 years ago?
I do. Well, actually, no. 18 years ago, no. But I have receipts from 9 years ago. Well, that's
no.
when I lost my virginity. 18. I'm 27, so I have receipts
Right.
from 9 years ago.
So you don't have,
From 9
receipts
yeah,
from
sorry,
X amount of time ago.
I mean, I have receipts from me getting my dick sucked at 16. If that makes you feel any better, but
Gross.
I'm sure. Well, it
Well,
is. You're speaking to live degenerates on playing
Let's
with fire.
talk
Yeah.
about like
What-
18 and up.
so what
front.
does that? What does that do for you? Being a
What?
Jewish degenerate. What does that do for you?
It's fucking amazing. And then you should meet my best friend, Pastor Aiden. I have good conversations with him about being a Jewish degenerate.
And how does that go? How does being a Jewish
pretty
degenerate
crazy
go?
because Pastor Aiden's a wild card. I don't think you've been exposed to him yet. Alex has.
So let
it
me
was
so
quite
let-
experience.
so let me ask you. So let me ask you a
explore my
question.
degeneracy.
So essentially, you're upset with me because I think that degenerate, meaning campground morality, has no morals, applies to people who have no morals. That's what you're upset about.
No, not quite. I'm actually well, I'm technically not upset. I was more confused why you randomly brought me up after
Do you
all this
under?
time.
Yeah. So do you under? Because I want to know why you're always spurging at me in your chat. Do you understand why that distinction is made between people who can ground their morals and those who can't? Do you know why that's done?
No, I know morals. I just think that our
Well, then tell me
definition of morals
what
is
your moral.
subjective.
Oh, okay. Well, then
My
ground your.
morals personally and morals in general.
Yeah. No, just ground your morals.
Judaism.
Ground
No.
your morals.
My morals are not just Judaism. I think, okay, so this is where we differ, right? So you believe that a man can only. Okay, wait, Dennis. Okay, that door just distracted.
Wait, guys,
Can you
1
mute him?
second. There's
Yeah.
there's one guy backstage. He said he only has 5 minutes before he has to go back to work, and he just wants to make 3
Yeah.
points.
We'll pause that. I'll be here.
Yeah. Let's just bring this guy on real quick. What's up?
Hey guys, hey Alex, thanks for having me on. I just have 3 points for Andrew. why abstaining from sex is BS.
Okay.
Sex outside of marriage. Okay, so number one, so that implies that denying yourself pleasure makes you a good person. Makes about as much sense as there's a Catholic sect that walks through the streets flogging themselves once a year. That's because that supposedly makes them a good person. Most people don't agree with that. That's number one.
Yeah, hang on. Can we kind of take these one point at a time?
I have to make them real quick, and then I'll listen to your response off the air. So the second,
Okay, well, I got to write them down, I guess.
That's a logical argument. Now I have an emotional argument. So knowing that women are more emotional and more impulsive than men are, and they like sex as much as men do, and it's much easier for them to get sex. How would you feel knowing that all the women are having wild casual sex, and but you abstain from sex thinking it made you a good person, but all the women are having wild casual sex and you're the only one left out? So that's an emotional argument, right?
Okay.
Most guys wouldn't feel too good about that. And then the pragmatic argument and a hypocrisy argument is, if you watch porn, if you abstain from sex, watch porn and jack off, that's just as much a sex act as everything else. So you're not abstaining from sex if you've ever jacked off in your entire life. And not only that, and here's another hypocrisy argument. If say you meet the woman of your dreams, she checks all the boxes. She's amazing, smart, funny, good person, and she likes you as much as you like her, but she wanted to have sex on the first date. Would you say no?
Yeah.
So most guys are lying to themselves if they would say no. And if they did say no, they'd probably regret it later. She'd be like, I'm not interested anymore. I think you're playing games. You don't want to have sex. So those are my 3 points. And I dare you to refute all 3. All right.
Yeah, I wish we could have gone through.
I gotta go.
I wish we could have gone through all 3 of them one at a time. What was the first point?
Yeah, go through. I'll listen to your response.
Just give me the consolidated version real quick, so I can write it down.
I got it. Okay. Consolidated version is okay.
So I got the jerking off. I got the jerking off is the same as sex. Okay, got that one.
Okay.
What else?
Denying yourself pleasure makes you a good person. That's illogical. And then if you found out that all the women were having wild casual sex and you were not, you wouldn't feel too good about that. That's an emotional argument.
Okay, and then if you found out women were having sex and you weren't involved, you would feel bad?
Yeah, most guys wouldn't be too happy. They find out the girl of their dreams had lots of wild casual sex, and you missed out, but you didn't, right? That's an emotional argument. That's why guys worried about the body counts.
Yeah, I got it. I understand.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thanks.
I need to take care. All right, so you want to answer these?
Yeah. So the first thing is, he says denying yourself pleasure makes you a good person is illogical. That's actually not an illogical statement because there's no contradiction. But from the perspective of the argument sense, nobody says that denying yourself pleasure makes you a good person. That's not the Christian worldview. The Christian worldview is that you are maintaining your abstinence for the purposes of purity. And that purity is the value that we're after here. That's a much better value than promiscuity. So this would fall under what's virtuous and what isn't virtuous. And then we could argue from the premise of what's virtuous. And then if you found out women were having sex, but you weren't, that would make you feel bad. Okay, well, that's like an argument to if you found out people who were around you were millionaires and you weren't, it would make you feel bad. Does that mean that they should have to give you their money? Right? But it has, again, nothing to do with virtue. It's not really an argument. It's a non-argument. Whether or not they would feel bad about it or not is completely irrelevant to the point. So we're talking about what's virtuous and what isn't virtuous. And this is the difference between having grounding for your ethics and not having any grounding for it. So if you want to bring that other guy on now, so that we can get back into this, because I want to know what his moral system is.
Yeah, he said he needs 5 minutes. He's doing something. This is actually a very interesting super chat. I want to ask you, Alex. Ask Andrew if he believes in UFOs and how that fits in with his religion.
I don't. Well, I mean, I believe in unidentified aerial phenomenon for sure. I've seen some of that myself, but as far as like aliens and shit like that, no.
What if you were shown irrefutable proof that there are aliens out there? Would that fuck with your like religious perspective at all, or would you reconcile that?
Well, it would be, that's like you're likening this to asking me like, what if you were shown irrefutable proof within a hypothetical that God wasn't real? Would that fuck with your religion? Well, yeah. Yeah. If somehow you could demonstrate with irrefutable proof that there was no God, would that mess with my head? Yeah, of course it would. So the thing is just like but remember, it's baked into the hypothetical, the question that you're asking. It's baked into the hypothetical. It's like asking, if you were dead, would you be alive anymore? It's like, no. Right? No.
I don't see how they're mutually exclusive. You could have aliens and a God, right? Like, why are they mutually exclusive?
You could, right? But you asking in the hypothetical, would that fuck with my religion?
Okay. It would cause you to question things, basically.
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. All right. So we'll bring on one more person before Greg, because I guess he needs time to do some shit. So let's bring on this dude. Okay. Hello.
Hey, what's up?
Not much. What's going on?
So I got a question for you guys. What do you think? I mean, I've seen your channel a little bit. What do you think the most important attributes? All right, let's put it like this. If you had a son, I don't know if you have kids, Andrew. I don't think you do, Alex, or that you know of, right?
I have 5.
Oh, damn, you got 5.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Congratulations. What do you think the most important attribute? I mean that.
No, I appreciate it. I appreciate that.
Yeah. What do you think the most important attribute, and for Alex, would be, if you had kids, to teach your son turning 18, so to speak? What I'm getting at is the most important virtue you think that you would bestow upon a young man.
So I mean, there would be so many. Self-responsibility, I think, extreme ownership.
I don't consider those to be virtues.
Why?
No, because they don't fall under the purview of virtues. So for a virtue, for instance, would be something like temperance. I think temperance would be extremely important. So if I was if you were to say, pick one virtue out of a list. Now, Alex, you can call whatever you want a virtue. I'm just saying I disagree with the concept that those are virtuous. Self-ownership's not a virtue. Why would that be virtuous? What's virtuous about self-ownership?
Because you take responsibility for everything in your life instead of blaming it on other people.
Yeah, I mean, I think that could fall under what I would consider a virtue if you explain it that way. So I think that that's fair. But I would say temperance.
You would say
I'd say temperance. Temperance is the most important. So being even keeled and emotionally stable, I think that that's the most important thing to teach a man on his way out the door.
All right,
if they fail at everything else on planet Earth, I think that temperance is the one.
Okay.
I would say discipline and delayed gratification.
That's temperance, though. That would fall under the purview of temperance.
Okay.
Discipline?
Yeah, discipline. So that would be self-discipline. So you wouldn't be able to have temperance without self-discipline.
Yeah, you're right.
So would it be fair to say that most men today, young men, whatever, any men, are missing that?
Yeah, it's one of the key problems. That's one of the reasons I advocate for religion. It's because religion will go over these. So somebody in the chat actually helpfully posted the virtues: humility, charity, chastity, gratitude, temperance, patience, and diligence. I think that temperance is a requirement to have any of the other ones. So I would say now, there's obviously you could argue it kind of either way, but I think that temperance requires patience, and I think temperance requires a bit of gratitude and maybe not charity, but maybe charitability towards people. Maybe not charity in the conventional sense of like you're handing out money or goods, but at least being charitable towards the people you're talking to. Like you came on the call, you're not hostile, you just want to talk. So I'm going to be as charitable as I can be, right? But I think that temperance is a big one. If I had to like label anything as the most important. If I was at gunpoint and they said, Andrew, you
Right,
have to do it
right.
right now, that's the one I would pick.
Yeah, I'll look up. There's two definitions, but the second one, the quality of moderation or self-restraint. Yeah, I do think that's important. The first definition is abstinence from alcoholic drink, but I'm assuming that's not what you mean.
Well, there's also religious definitions. Remember that. That the dictionary definition, just like a legal definition or a medical definition, is going to be different than a religious definition.
So, what's your definition of temperance?
Well, I think that temperance, if I was going to condense it the best way I possibly could, in kind of a layman's term, would be even keeled and emotional coolness.
Right.
So it doesn't mean that you have a lack of emotion or things like this, but you know how to control them, moderate them, and act upon them without being too terrified to act. So I think that would be the best way that I would describe as like even keeled.
Yeah,
So
emotional mastery.
Right.
Yeah, emotional mastery is a good way to look at it.
Funny enough, that's a big part of what pickup teaches as a side note. Yeah, go ahead, Base.
Yeah, sorry. Are you fully on board with that, Alex? I'm just asking. It's not a loaded question.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's like my number one, but it'll probably be top three. Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So follow up to that, because I do agree with you. I might have phrased it differently just because I'm coming from a different place, but I think I align with what you're saying. So how do you think the best way to impact society with that is? And I'm not asking you to do it. I'm just talking kind of high level here, kind
like
of
from a
macro
perspective.
picture.
Yeah. So you're talking from a prescriptive level. What's the best way to do it? Best way to do it is to demand that men take responsibility.
Right.
So that they have more responsibility. And and that I think that that's a huge problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What we have now is a shift of responsibility. Women don't even take their share of responsibility, right? But men often run from it. They often run from it. So it's problematic.
But you will acknowledge that you can be very responsible and not be religious, right?
You can be, yes.
So isn't it kind of ironic now what's going on that you were hinting at, that you were getting at, that society is running at a level, men and women are equal, we're the same. But as you just pointed out, men have a higher level of responsibility innately, biologically.
In some senses.
Religious. Well, yeah, sure.
In some senses,
I'm not saying in every single aspect.
Yeah.
I'm
So
just talking about
egalitarianism is fake. It's literally, it's a faux proposition, right? There's no such thing as egalitarianism and equality. That's just made up bullshit.
Right. But what I'm getting at is that in that happening, that what we have is men not actually taking the responsibility and to some degree, right, on some levels, and saying to women, well, here you go. This is what you wanted. And they're kind of like, bullshit. I don't want this. I just want the good stuff that comes with it.
Right. That's feminism.
Right.
Yeah, that's feminism. So what I mean by when men aren't taking responsibility, what I mean by this is I think that men have been checking out of society based on women's behavior more and more and more. And that's what I see inside of like these communities when I talk to you guys, is that there's a great checkout which is happening. They're like, look, these bitches can't behave. They're acting like fucking skanks. They're doing all sorts of shit. They're lying. They're backbiters. They're cheating. They're doing all this shit they're not supposed to be doing. Right. And so they actually check out. They just like check out of the system altogether. That's part of that men going your own way, kind of the MGTOW thing, is when they're kind of remove themselves away from the system. Maybe they just buy a prostitute every once in a while. They play video games with their friends and they try to enjoy their life. I think, though, that that's kind of abandoning all of your virtues, which is, I think that you should get married. I think you should have children. I think you ought to do those things, not just because they're commanded by God, but because I think it gives you a more whole life. Even if you don't believe in God, I still think it's optimal for men to do this.
There's different levels of checking out. So the most extreme level of checking out would be when you go like full MGTOW, where you just like, you don't do anything romantic or sexual with women. That's pretty rare in this community. It's not common. A more common is a partial checkout, where guys are like, yo, I'm not going to date these girls. I'll just have sex with them. That's like a part. That's what you see happening in the red.
I think that's true. Yeah, I think that that's correct. But the thing is that I see people going to more and more extreme modes as the relationship dynamics in the West break down, and the birth rates are a reflection of the relationship dynamics breaking down. Women want to have families less and less and pursue careers more and more. And men don't want to date men. They want to date women. They want to have sex with women. They want to marry women, right? They don't want some career check.
There's so many women out there, though, still that want to have a family. I feel like, yeah, okay, maybe a little bit more, but
The pickings are slim, and the big problem is that they want to start families later and later in life, right? So they want to wait until they're all done with their careers in the cock carousel, then they want to start their family. That's a big problem.
They want to eat their cake and have it too.
Yep, that's right. They want to have their cake and eat it too.
The men that they want generally don't want them at that point.
That's also correct. They don't. They generally don't want them. If there's something that's younger and with less baggage, and they're both available, they'll go for the thing that's younger with less baggage pretty much every time.
Right.
And I don't blame them. Like, I don't blame them for doing that. Right. None of this is contrary to Christianity, by the way.
Just to be clear, there's a huge percentage of guys who will just like take whatever they can get.
Well, they'll have sex with whatever they can get. That doesn't mean they're going to settle down with it.
They'll actually date whatever they can get.
So there's some men who will do that. Yes.
And there's some men that used to do that.
There's probably 4 different categories, like people that do nothing, people that retreat, like, oh, like I got divorced, I'm staying away from women, people that take like average action, and then like people that are like Alex and like go full time, you know, and just get to hundreds of lays.
Yeah.
Well, it's not hard to find a girl who's, well, okay, let me rephrase that. It's not impossible to find a girl who's great, who's awesome, who's not high body count, who's loving, caring, and blah, blah. All that exists. I think there's a disconnect between guys and girls because back in the day, you used to meet girls through I don't know, work or through your friends, and that's becoming less and less common. So there's a disconnect that's going on. But those girls do exist if you know how to look and where to look.
Yeah.
What
do you have any more like tangible stuff? Like, what do you mean by like take responsibility? Like, get a job? Like, what do you mean?
Who are you asking?
Andrew.
As far as responsibility goes, so I think that men are the inheritors and crafters of all of society. They're the crafters of rules, and they're the protectors of rights, even of other men. And I think that many of them shirk their responsibility inside of that domain because they have no higher value or higher calling to go towards at all.
Now, wouldn't you agree that it's men? I mean, and I don't mean specific men, although there is specific men that put us in this position to begin with. Feminism, women voting, all the things, all the different facets that have led to modern day.
It was mostly technology, honestly.
Right, but where did that come from? Right, and I'm not trying to say, oh, men are bad. Obviously, I'm a man. I'm saying that at the end of the day, I look at that as responsibility that we put ourselves here. And sure, technology, I agree with you, but I don't want to just scapegoat it to like, oh, well, it landed in our laps. No, we created that shit.
Well, there's no point in like beating yourself about the why. It's just a matter of
I agree with you.
Like, it doesn't matter how we got where we got. I mean,
no, it matters. It matters why or how we got where we're at. If you don't know history, you're doomed to repeat it, right? And so,
right, if you're, sure, if you're in a position of power, but if you're just like your average dude who's not,
no, all men are in a position of power, whether they know it or not. They're in a position to take power. They're in a position to seize control of their families, of their lives, things like this. They are in positions to do this. Women uniquely are not in positions to do this, except at the allowance of men. They uniquely cannot do this without men. Men are the grounding and foundation for women's rights, their equality, their everything. They get everything from us. So we've always had a unique autonomy and authority to do this. Women, though, they're the gatekeeper of who gets to reproduce. So men tend to compete with each other over who gets to reproduce with which woman. So they try to go for the hottest woman that they can, the most beautiful woman that they can, or the highest status woman that they can get, which usually has those attributes. Right. So this is the age-old battle of the sexes. But the thing is one of the things that religion promotes, right, is these type of behavioral patterns that the DEGENS would consider to be optimal in women. Okay. That's what religion is promoting. Even the things that you guys would see as optimal traits, religion's going to promote those optimal traits in women.
Okay, Andrew, let's say you're the average guy, has an average job, living in a state that's always goes one way, either Republican or Democratic state, not a swing state. What power do you have to change the
That's
system?
the wrong way to look at power. Power dynamics don't just work on a level of I vote, so therefore I have power. Power dynamics work in localizations more than they do anything. You have men who lead other packs of men. You have men who are leaders at work. You have men who rise above the fray, things like this. They have extraordinary community power, regardless of who goes and votes on national issues or even who votes on localized issues. Those are the men who craft the legislation you're voting on to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, there's a small percentage of men who have the majority of the power. And there's some men who have a little bit of power.
It's not. Well, but hang on.
Local setting.
When you say small, it's not that small, right? If you go to any work environment on planet Earth, you're going to see certain men who rise above the other ones, right? There's tons and tons of factories and small job centers, things like this that people work at all the time. So you're talking about tens and hundreds of thousands of men who are in these unique leadership roles. So when it's kind of easy to marginalize it and say, like, look, there's very few of these men. There's actually quite a few of them, far more than you think.
Yeah, they might have influence on their like local team, whatever that they're involved in, or maybe even on the company as a whole. But they're not going to be the ones who are making decisions about what product we're going to manufacture, what kind of advertising we're going to do. That's a very small percentage.
They do, especially if they collectivize. When they collectivize, they do have the power to determine those things on a local level, which gives them significant power even nationally. And these collectives often coordinate with other collectives who share their similar ideology. And that's how you end up with trends. That's how you end up with all sorts of different legislation, which ends up, moving forward, and different parties getting formed, and localized parties getting formed, and unions. And all of this is through the organization of extraordinary men, and then less extraordinary, but still extraordinary men who follow them.
Andrew, so are you pro-union then?
Depends. Sometimes I'm pro-union. It depends on what type of union you're talking about.
Let's just take like Starbucks union or
no
Amazon union.
No, corporate unionization is more exploitative to the employee than it is helpful to the employee.
Well, I'm kind of confused. We're talking about how like these men have a power through collectivization and union, but if you're anti-union, how does that?
The union doesn't have to be an organization which is specific to work. I'm saying they can unionize over any number of different issues. When all I mean by unionize is collectivize. That's it. I don't mean they can join a fucking work union, though they could, and that could be a way in which they could affect local policy, and it's happened that way before. But they can unionize in any number of different ways. Sometimes they have clubs, right? You have different clubs that form around different interests. You maybe have sports leagues which form around different interests, and then they begin to move towards political action. There's all sorts of different ways that men collectivize.
Yeah, I think we just radically disagree on this. I think power is in the hands of a few, and some people have a small amount of power, a sliver of power. Like you and I have a little bit of power. You have the power to affect your audience. I have the power to affect my audience. But in the grand scheme of things, our power level is like 0.00000.
Well, what do you think power is?
Ability to change the course of history, change people's opinions.
Well, that's a really so one of those is a really high bar, the ability to change history, and one of them's a really low bar, which is the ability to change minds. So if it's just the ability to change minds, surely you have a significant amount of power.
Yeah.
In terms of my audience, yes, but in terms of the grand scheme of things, like for example, let's say that I think that that Biden is the worst thing ever, and my biggest goal in life is to keep Biden from being elected. I have close to zero power in that regards, right? Like my audience doesn't really look to me for voting, and even if they did, it's very limited compared to the whole the amount of people who vote, right? So yeah, like even when it comes to that, I have some influence, but the influence, I'm cognizant of the fact that influence is very limited. Now, someone like Joe Rogan has a lot more influence. He has a lot more power.
Well, I don't understand. Did lightning strike these people so they had this power, or did they work towards a worthy goal and move towards that over time? But that's what I'm talking about. That's what I mean by responsibility. Stop, Alex. What I mean by this is what I said. It's literally the moving towards a worthy goal through some sort of collectivization. Lightning didn't strike them. They worked towards this goal. That's part of responsibility.
Yeah, all that is great. I'm just saying for every Joe Rogan, there's 20,000 people that you've never heard of.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that they have no power. They might exercise quiet power, quiet authority. I mean,
Well,
there's people.
at a
there's
point in time, they probably have close to zero power.
No, I don't think so. I think that if you look at sometimes producers and things like this, oftentimes they're not well known in the public eye, but they move things behind the scenes in a major way.
Yeah, producers
Alex,
are a tiny percentage of people involved.
Alex, how much influence
No.
would you have to have? Like,
I'm not
how
talking
many
about
people
Hollywood
behind
producers,
would you
Alex.
have
I'm
to
talking
change?
about people who produce products.
Like what, manufacturers? Like what are you
Yes,
talking
producers, people who make stuff people want.
Okay.
So they can affect in massively, they can affect local policies with money, right? Or with jobs, or with zoning regulations, or with any number of different things. There's all
Right.
sorts of people who are producers of things which have an enormous amount of power who are not known in the public eye.
Right, sure, you're right about that. So that means the CEO, the CFO, maybe the the marketing director, they do have a lot of influence, and they
And the
can
small business
affect
owner.
a lot of things.
Yeah. And the small
But
business
all
owner.
all the people who are like the employees of those, they don't really have much influence at all, unless they unionize, and then in which case they might have some level of power, and they can bargain with the boss.
No, they have
But
a different set value of power, which is that if they have families and things like this, they're creating the mindset for the entire next generation. So
They're creating
that's
the
the thing,
mindset
is
for their
that that's a huge amount of power to give a man, that if you have multiple children, you can affect their mindset for how they live their lives in the next generation. You can affect significant change, especially if you can collectively change enough men's minds to teach their children the same value structure.